All right, how's it going, everyone? Welcome to Hoops Hobby Hangout. This is going to be episode 10. We finally made it to 10, guys. What do you think?
Woo!
Yeah, to get the streamers going. Let's have a party.
Is that like a milestone? I don't know.
Do you have a breaking news banner we could put up?
Yeah, throw it up there.
Yeah, let's see if I can find it. And there we go. Breaking news.
There you go.
We made it to 10 episodes. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in tonight. Unfortunately, Joey's out tonight, but we do have the regular lineup. Myself, Ryan, Mindcycle Cards, Adam, the Sport Card King, and Steve S. Highlight 2003. And tonight we're going to be talking about the start of the NBA season coming up in about a week. And then just kind of how that pertains to our collecting, how we've done it in the past, or how we're going to do it this season. But before we get started, do you guys have any pickups, anything to share for the week? Or
Go ahead, Adam. I know you have some pretty stuff that you want to talk about, or maybe you don't have planned, but you've had some great.
Yeah, I didn't have any plans. I didn't. Wasn't prepared. I have a couple of things I haven't shared anywhere online. I was actually having out for last week, then I realized the theme of Panini kind of went away from what I picked up, so I didn't even bother. But first one I have here, Chronology, Bill Russell Gold, out of 10 auto.
Is that a duplicate for you or first?
No, that's the only one of those I have. And then same set, Chronology, Dr. J.
That's awesome.
That's great. Yeah,
I had this out for last week, and I realized the theme of missing Panini, me being the ultimate Panini hater already, I don't need to double down by only showing upper deck cards.
No, that's a nice one, man. I like it. I saw a couple cards you showed this week on your Instagram. Are those more recent pickups, or you've had them for a while?
The Nate Thurmond I picked up a week or so ago, and then the what was the other one? The Elijah one I've had for probably a month. I just never shared it. I'm bad about posting on Instagram. I'll buy stuff and then eventually I'll get around to finding something. And I try to alternate like vertical to horizontal. And all my pickups recently have been vertical, so I had to find a horizontal card. So the Elijah one came out.
Hold on. So your posts on I've never noticed that your posts on Instagram alternate.
Yeah,
I'll have to keep an eye on that.
Nice.
I don't know. It happened by accident. The first like three were like that way, and I was like, that kind of makes like kind of a grid like quilt pattern looking thing. I was like, yeah, I'll keep that going. So I try to alternate.
Oh, that's cool, man.
A little behind the curtain things, and I haven't sent this in the group chat yet, but I was thinking in the next week or so, one of our themes for the Hangout should be, take a spin off the movie Seven, What's in the Box, and do a What's in the Mailbox, and really highlight some of our favorite pickups and maybe the story behind them. Because that Nate Thurmond you talked about, Adam, it's not often that you give like a narrative to the post as far as like how you got the card, but what you said about being in the right place, right time, like I really would like to hear that story. And I think there's probably some good stories about. I've had some really frustrating stories recently with bad sellers, but there's funny sellers. It's just being in the right place, right time, going to shows. So, little plug for a future episode that'll be coming up. That I think is a what's in the mailbox type episode. It'll be fun.
I like it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've got no updates. I don't think I've gotten a basketball card in since we last recorded. So you can pass right over me. But if you have anything to share, Ryan.
Yeah, I got this Cam Johnson silhouette card. So he joined the Nuggets this season. So we actually got rid of Michael Porter Jr. He's going to pretty much be the replacement, I think. So that kind of ties into today's topic as well. But just out of 25 variation, a little patch from his Phoenix days on there.
That's not a little patch.
Yeah.
It takes up most of the front.
Patch. Yeah.
I do love those silhouette cards without the autos on them. The sticker autos kill them, but there's those jumbo that use that traditional silhouette design, going back to Preferred and Crown Royal. I think those look awesome.
I did. I can't remember the guy's name, but it's a rookie. One of our rookies. I picked up one of those sticker ones with the non-associated. I don't know why. I think I was like bidding on some stuff, and then I threw in like a snipe bid for $10. I'm like, whatever. I don't have an auto of this guy. I think it was like Hunter Tyson or something like that. Oh well, it's an auto. It was $10. I'm not going to pay up for the sticker autos with the non-associated patches, though. That's for sure. So
you paid $10 more than I would have, but if you're happy with it, and you go for it.
And one last pickup. a little Garbage Pail Kid card. Fry and Ryan. So that's from series 2, I think it is. Yeah, so tonight's topic, we just decided to basically go over maybe like our history of collecting and how the start of the season affects that. Obviously got probably some new players on the team, maybe some rookies, stuff like that. You want to kick us off, Steve, with that topic?
Yeah, I was gonna say without, and we got a few people in the chat. Like, hopefully, why don't you throw the QR code up, see if somebody wants to, in case anybody wants to join with us while I talk.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe break it up a little bit. I don't want to be too Celtics heavy tonight, but obviously Celtics are my primary team, Adam's primary team. So I'll go, and then maybe Ryan, you can interrupt a little bit. But I think what we'll do tonight is give some thoughts about where we're at, getting ready for the season, chat about, where our teams are at, and maybe we'll loop back around to, if that's going to change how we collect it all, or things we might be looking to get into, and we'll just sort of toss back and forth. I will say that I have not, so I just, right before we logged on, Garth, Ryan says, Ryan looks like Garth. Sean says Ryan looks like Garth from Wayne's World with the cameras zoomed on him. Might have been the panic that set in when you didn't know how to turn it off.
Yeah, I know.
I will say that right before we logged on, I watched the first episode of season 2 of the Netflix docuseries, Our Starting Five, and that was sort of the kickstart I need for this season. I've been super distracted with like the WNBA playoffs, and then the Red Sox made the playoffs, and the Bruins have been, dropping the puck on the start of their season. The Patriots have all of a sudden looked like at least a watchable team. So I've been pretty distracted from preseason basketball. So I haven't followed too much about it. I have not watched a single preseason game, which I think is different for you, Adam. I think you've been commenting that you watched a couple of them. It's going to be an interesting season. I'm not going to, we don't need to talk about it too much, but, Tatum blew his Achilles out last, playoffs, and Jaylen Brown, who I'm a big fan of, and maybe that's something I know Adam will talk differently, and maybe some of the people in the chat can say, I've been a big fan of Jaylen Brown, his whole career, and I think it'll be interesting. One thing I do not like about the Celtics is I cannot stand their style of play. Like, I am out on this coaching crew. I hate the 3-ball. I hate the swinging around the outside, just look for a 3. Jaylen Brown's been very open in a professional way of saying we need to have more off-ball movement. We need to pick up the pace. We need to push the ball. Like, he's definitely been open all summer and all preseason about wanting to change the style of play. And even in the Starting Five documentary, he talks about his respect of the Pacers and Carlisle's style because they run up and down the floor and they move the ball around. So I'm hoping with him at the reins that, maybe Missoula is forced to change things up a little bit, but the roster is pretty much a bunch of guys that have never seen a shot they don't like and no defense. So it'll be an interesting season, but a different start, obviously from what we've had the last few years of them being Eastern Conference and finalists and, NBA finalists for what seems like the last decade, half a decade or so. So that's sort of my preview. Like I said, I haven't like dug into the roster yet. I don't know, where everyone's at as far as who the starting lineup is going to be and everything, but definitely looking forward to kind of following the team as they morph through the season, and already tired of the when is Tatum coming back talk, so we'll ignore that.
Cool. Any collecting goals this year with, roster changes, or just kind of the same old?
I'm going to sound like such a bah humbug, Ryan, and hopefully some other people will chime in, but I've been really, really slow to pick up any Ultra Modern cards at all. And it's part of it is I'm sort of bored with the current products. And then you add in, I'm not extremely excited for Topps. So I'm going to kind of sit back and see what they do with the license. I've got nice Derek White cards. I've got nice Jason Tatum cards. I've got a nice Pritchard card. Like I kind of have the cards for the players I want. I'm not excited to watch Anthony Simons, so I doubt I'll go pick up like you picked up the silhouette patch of a Suns card for Johnson. I don't see myself going and grabbing something of Anthony Simons. I think he's just sort of a rental for the team. So I'm really going to be, kind of sitting back and more. I guarantee I'll impulse buy a Jaylen Brown card. I used to have a ton of his stuff, and I sold most of it off. So he'll have a great game, or he'll, be on the fast break against, I don't know, the Bobcats or something, and I'll decide to go out there and get something. But no, I don't know that the start of the season will really impact my collecting much, other than, the fact that Topps is taking over, and I'll be following along with that.
Yeah, it's kind of the same for me as like, I think I've mentioned it before on here, but I'm actually purposely not buying Fanatics or Top stuff. Maybe in a couple years. And the reason being, and I've explained this before, but to anybody listening for the first time or haven't heard this rant, I just don't agree with the gambling aspect that they're bringing into the hobby. It's just really disappointing to me, I guess. It's really exciting to have Tops back, but at the same time, just having that gambling, check out Fanatics Live, having all those people pump that every other day. They're pumping some chase hit that you can get into a break and potentially hit this $500,000 card or whatever it is. It's just really, I don't know. I got to stick to my morals and not support that. Just for the time being, we'll see, how long I last. It kind of, back when Panini took over, you had all the guys who were like, nah, Panini sucks, man. I'm sticking with Upper Deck. I don't want to be one of those guys, but at the same time, I'm going to wait it out a little bit at least. That's where I'm at. How about you, Adam? What are you thinking for the start of the season? You follow any teams specifically, or?
Obviously, I'm a Celtics fan, so I mean, I've been watching their games more specifically than anybody, but I've been trying to catch as much as I could. I came to the realization recently that the League Pass switched over from just having it through whoever your cable provider is, and now you have to do it on Prime. So I made that discovery like 3 or 4 nights ago. I had to switch over to Prime to watch the games, but for me, mostly, I don't really collect very much of the active players. I mostly collect Hall of Fame guys. So, like, the start of the season doesn't really change much for me. I'll probably pick up, like, a Pritchard patch auto or just patch card at some point. I don't have one. But other than that, I mean, them playing doesn't change much for me, other than maybe the fact that some people might list cards they wouldn't have prior just because of the perceived hype of the season starting. But like Steve, I'm not super excited to the start of the season being without Tatum. But overall, I'm excited to just have basketball back. I'm a Bengals fan, as you can see by the hoodie, but they're terrible, and I've just been struggling. I was actually supposed to go to the game tonight, and I was like, I'm going to go do this instead. I didn't even worth getting out of my house and being out till midnight to watch these people suck.
Good call. We're happy you're here. Yeah, I hate being a downer on that stuff, but as I was saying in the chat, it's all about the money for Tops. Well, definitely, and I get it because they paid a lot of money to get the license, so it makes sense. I just feel like there's maybe a more tactful way to go about it, but again, they did pay a ton of money, so maybe that's their only option they can think of is to do kind of the gambling angle and all that, because we know it's become popular. I mean, breaking just in the last decade for sure, but even the last decade it's gotten insane. So, but
yeah, and to kind of touch on that, sorry to cut you off, but I've been watching. I probably said this before, but I do watch some breaks online, and they are usually on like Whatnot or whatever. I don't really get into that myself, but I like to see the new products, the high end stuff. And it's like with Panini at the very end here, they dropped so much in such a short period of time. Eminence sold out instantaneously on their site for $40,000, and they were being resold basically for like $70,000 to $80,000 a box. Like nobody's really out here doing that without that element. So it's like you can blame Panini, you can blame the Whatnot or Fanatics Live people, but ultimately the people are buying it. So I mean, there's just such a demand for the product that was being put out at the very end there because they put so much in. I mean, you'd see boxes with 2 and 3 Logo Man cards and all this crazy stuff per box, and obviously it's a huge amount of money, but you just see so much money being thrown around on these apps that it just blows my mind. I mean, when Flawless Camp comes out, you'll see people spend 6 figures a night on several platforms, the same people, night in and night out. I mean, it's unfathomable for me, it's unfathomable for you and probably everybody watching, but there's just different people in the hobby. There's people that are in it to spend $500,000 a week, and the money's irrelevant to them, win or lose. And then there's people like us who collect for the fun of it. So it's like you almost have to cater to both sides, I think.
I mean, it's true. It's like kind of the way I view it is you have that side of the hobby now. It's there. Old guys like us, can sit there and whine about it all we want, yell at the clouds, but it's there. And I get it. And I've heard a bunch of other people say this as well on other like YouTube channels and stuff. Hey, there's money to be made out there. We're not forcing people to buy into breaks. There's obviously more ethical ones than others. I don't really break much anymore, so I don't really know much about it. But at the same time, I get it. It's just the way it is nowadays. Gary says in the chat, he says he's not a fan with how Topps operate, but be hard pressed not to buy Chrome. That's actually going to be very difficult for me as well, Gary, because I love Chrome, and I still haven't seen a ton of the cards yet. But do we think that they're probably going to just follow the Topps photography and Topps design, just Chrome it, basically, or what do we think they're going to do with Chrome? It'd be cool if they came out with some photo variations, but
I would assume for a first release like this, they probably don't have anything too crazy up their sleeves. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're trying to go out or get out of the gates running. But I would assume it's just Topps paper we've been seeing shown around with a chromium stock to it.
that's my guess too.
Yeah, I anticipate that their model eventually is going to be I'm not even saying this trying to be like bah humbug about it, but eventually to have the Topps Chrome brands, and I say brands because there's Sapphire and all this other stuff, consistent across baseball, football, basketball, Disney, whatever else they do, Marvel, etc., and it be a very similar approach where it's going to be the same parallels, the same design for borders and stuff, and then it'll just be the different imaging. And I think to your point, Ryan, and we have another cool question related to this and that was sent to us in the chat, but I think what will change minds and maybe even eventually yours is how do they release, say, a Topps Chrome, right? Like people are looking for Topps Chrome, and Tim that joined us, I forget the weeks already, the last week or two, Forksbeard, even said he's like looking forward to how for this year, similar, like it's not about a team, he said about like what Topps and Fanatics are going to do with bringing back brands versus bringing new brands to the table, right? And so I think if they drop something like Chrome that people are looking forward to, or Stadium Club, and they release just good hobby content with it and not, if you buy 10 boxes, you get into a lottery to get a LeBron 101 that you can't pull unless you do X, Y, or Z, et cetera, et cetera. They don't have Topps Chrome Instant or Topps Chrome Now. If they do offer more like, hey, buy a box of Topps Chrome, you get 12 parallels, one auto, and out of those 12 parallels, 4 of them will be numbered. And it's going to be whatever X dollars, and they do that consistently, and it's in hobby shops, and it's available, then I think that will be one thing. If they start doing it where it's direct to breakers, or you have to like you have to go on and get a lottery ticket to get access to like a code to buy it online or blah, 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 that's going to be different. So I really do think it's about how they handle their distribution as far as who gets it, who has access to it, and what that's going to look like.
A good comment here from Hoops Hobby he's saying he does appreciate at least seeing the odds of pulling a particular insert set or parallel, which is true. We didn't get that a lot with Panini. So I guess Topps has done that in baseball and things like that for a while, haven't they? So that's been listed on the packs and whatnot. So that's definitely a cool thing to see. And then Sean saying about the Topps Now basketball moments printed the next day. Baseball has been watered down so much since it started in 2016. Is that I'm not super familiar with that because I don't really collect baseball. Is that kind of similar to the Panini Instant stuff, or is that different? Do you guys know?
I'm not super familiar with Instant, but I'm assuming it's probably the same. It's basically like Cooper Flag makes his first 5-3 game. They'll make a card commemorating it. It'll be basically print to orders, where if you order, collectively everybody orders 500 of them, the print runs 500. But if everybody orders 50,000 of them, the print runs 50,000. So there's kind of like this, I don't know, added element of if it's unique enough where most people don't want it, you might get a rare release out of it. But most of the stuff sells in such crazy quantities, it's watered down to the point of Sean, and you end up having a card that's numbered to 1 million that's less rare than a base card, and it's pointless.
I think of the Curry, what was that? The U.S. Curry, Durant, and
there's got to be 1 billion of those outside of the numbered parallels.
Because everybody's chasing the big chase card, That's
those are like scratch tickets, right? I think I do think both good and bad. Topps is a little more, their Topps Now program is a little more in depth than Panini Instant. Panini Instant is pretty much limited to just random moments. Like it's not even all the key moments. I think Topps does a better job of capturing more moments and maybe even too many. Then they'll do stuff also like limited parallels. Like if you buy Panini Instant, you have no chance of getting a refractor version of it. They will release like 5 silver refractors, and those will be numbered out of 5 or whatever. But you can't pull some. The Topps does try to do a little bit more of, you have to buy a minimum of 5, but you have a chance at one of those 5 being a random parallel. So they do a little bit more. It's a little bit, there's a little more depth and value to the program, but it's also meant to incentivize you to buy like 10 copies, 20 copies, 30 copies to chase stuff. Versus just buying the one card.
That's kind of what it seemed to me, is like, okay, the more you buy, the better odds you get of getting this, even though the odds are horrible, the better odds you get of getting the triple auto or whatever the chase card was for that USA stuff, which is, it's basically a scratch ticket for sure.
I was watching something on YouTube the other day, and I don't think it was a break, right? It's probably someone I watch on a regular basis, but they had a Topps Now card and they were chasing it, and they were buying, they come in like the slider boxes. I think each slider box had 10 cards in it. And so he had 20 slider boxes, so 200 cards, and there wasn't a single parallel in it. No autos, no refractors, nothing. It was just 200 base cards.
Wow.
And I forget what he said he paid for them, but it was nuts.
Yeah, I bet.
I see Gary posted having a handful of the college ones in his Kentucky collection. Curious if Gary's in Kentucky. That's where I'm located. And if you can collect just like basketball for Kentucky or football as well. I'm assuming Wildcats.
I will say the few Topps Now cards I have are better quality than the Panini Instant cards I have.
Okay.
There's a little bit quality card stock and a few more details to them that I do think they're a slight notch above.
Nice. Do you guys want to go into maybe what we've done in past seasons? Because I could kind of start with that.
Let's hear what your approach is to collecting as you start getting those Nuggets excitements flowing through you.
As we kind of showed off with the Cam Johnson there. Hopefully I won't screw it up this time and we can get back to not full screen me. But yeah, I used to actually, every time we'd trade for a player or something like that, or have like a new exciting player on the team, I'd go out and buy a bunch of cards. I actually haven't done this in a number of years, so it's the first time I've done it in a while. But I have a lot of like Trey Lyles and I'm trying to think of the other guy that I bought, Jeremy Grant, like just rookie cards of those guys that I could never move and that I don't care about anymore. So I kind of stopped doing it, but I would get excited about like a new drafted player, a new player we traded for, a rookie. I would always go after the rookie cards. I haven't really done that in, I don't know, probably a handful of years at this point. First of all, because rookies are super expensive. So that side of it was a little bit crazy, but I don't get as hyped for people that we trade. Although this season, I will say that I'm super excited we brought Bruce Brown back. That's going to be great. And I just think, the team looks good. We got Valanciunas as backup center. Who else did we sign? Tim Hardaway Jr. I think we brought him on.
That was recent, right? That's a good depth move for you guys.
Yeah, and I think we were lacking last year on depth, so now we've got it. But I don't know. What have you guys done in like past seasons? I guess it sounds like this season we're not super pumped on going out and buying a bunch of traded players, but have you guys done that in the past too?
Well, it's interesting for me, like when you think about Celtics and yes and no, right? And so I used to do the rookie thing more often. At one point I had a Jordan Mickey Immaculate Logo Man. It was a $75 card, but like I would go and grab like one or two. It started with I came back into the hobby, quote unquote, full time around 2012 Prism. So I used to grab like the silvers and golds of the rookies every year when they were cheap, when you can get them for $20-$30. And then I would start, getting like a patch auto or something of the guys. But right around the time where I think the products got really watered down, the Celtics also weren't drafting anybody. So there was a time in the Celtics, the infamous Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett to the Nets trade. They had draft picks up the wazoo, and they were chasing guys that could have been, should have been, would have been, hot ticket items, and they got 2 of them. So, but right around the time cards got watered down, so did the Celtics draft picks. Like I had a small run of chasing Romeo Langford cards, but I never thought Carson Edwards, for example, was going to be an NBA player. And that was right around the time that every rookie card was going for hundreds of dollars. So, and then after that, they haven't owned any real good draft picks for years. So right around the time that the cards got boring for me, so did the players coming in. Like we had our core, and that's, I think, my mentality now. It's like the guys that I want cards of, I have nice cards of. Like I have a Tatum flawless patch auto. I don't need another Tatum card. I have a couple nice Tatum rookies, so I'm pretty boring in that regard, where I used to do it, but then the quality of the players that were worthy of collecting, I think, downgraded, and then the cards also downgraded while prices went through the roof. So I'm just so negative tonight as far as like collecting over the last 3 or 4 years, and I know it's going to make for not the most exciting content because I'm basically collecting like Adam is right now, where I'm just looking back at cards that are 10 years old and chasing them for guys that I have fond memories of, and not worried about the modern stuff. So there's my pass off to you, Adam.
Yeah, I mean, it's very similar to what I do. I've kind of pivoted doing the same thing, buying rookies of players on all my teams, to giving rid of that. Probably, I can't think of the exact last Celtic I would have bought, but to go back to the Bengals, I remember buying a ton of Giovanni Bernard. Like that era was like I was buying all the rookie guys, and I just eventually got to the point where you're spending $50 on a card that turns into 10, and it didn't make any sense. I didn't have nearly as much fandom of those players once they sizzled out or quit playing for the team. So like I just generally don't buy that stuff. I did buy like you just mentioned, Romeo Langford and Carson Edwards. I do have like a certified RPA of both of those, and that's probably the last rookies I did that with. I don't have very much Tatum or Brown. I have a couple cards of each, but I generally just don't see the value in it. I could buy a Tatum flawless patch auto, or I could buy 3 Larry Bird flawless patch autos, just as a random example, and I would take the birds every time. So that's what I generally do. But overall, in years past, I don't really collect too much differently. I have bought some stuff, like when we won the championship, it obviously gets you a little bit of excitement around the team that's actively playing. So I would buy some stuff of those guys more so than I would like a Simons or somebody else who's playing on this team. And as you said, a rental player who, even if we won a championship this season, unlikely as it may be, he probably won't be around to see it. So again, probably not as exciting of content where we're kind of just like, we don't care. But that's the truth of it.
But I think that's interesting of what you said, and Zai just mentioned Jordan Walsh, and in some of the group chats I've been in with you, Adam, somebody will post, say somebody was high on Jordan Walsh, and though he can't even crack the summer league rotation his 3rd year in, but if someone was and they posted this card they were excited about that they paid $250 on, you'd probably DM a couple of us on the side and be like, yeah, well, here's this Akeem Olajuwon patch auto that I just paid $250 for, right? And like you never say like sometime in a demeaning way, but but it's always good reference of like you're absolutely right, and what's gonna maintain. Like some people say, well, Akeem signs everything, so you always can get an auto of Akeem, right?
Sure.
And there's only 1 year of Jordan Walsh rookie cards, but at the same time, what are you likely to be able to move at the National if you go, or to sell if you need to, or maintain, or just truly love over time? Like I don't love any of the Romeo Langford cards I bought back. Like I have his next day auto, which I kept, and I think I have that draft day auto set. I think those are the 2 that I kept, and I do love having those. But like the other stuff, like I couldn't send to ComC fast enough once I was just done looking at it. So I think what you brought up is a very interesting point, and something that for as long as I've known you has been like your collecting philosophy for sure.
Yeah, and like I really don't care if I buy a Olajuwon, to use your name, person. If it goes down in value, I like it. So like there has to be that intangible part. Like if I buy a card, it's because I like it more than the money. And there's no chance that a Jordan Walsh card, if it's $200, I like it more than the money. And then on top of that, it's never going to be a $250 card. Not that it really matters to me. I'm not going to sell it. But it's like there's no upside. I don't like it enough for the $200 purchase. It's never going to be worth more unless he somehow gets struck by lightning and becomes a good basketball player. But I don't know. It just strikes me as very odd because you see so many people spend absurd money on players who are unproven. Like I saw the other day, a Jordan Poole Prism Gold rookie sold for like almost $4,000.
Wow.
And I'm sitting here and I'm thinking like, how in the world, like I've spent $4,000 on a very few select amount of cards, and I'm pretty sure even Jordan Poole super collectors would be like, yeah, that makes more sense. I can't comprehend how 4,000 or 3,800 or whatever it was for a Jordan Poole Gold Prism is even fathomable to people. Like, collect what you like. If you enjoy it and you can afford it and it means more to you than the $4,000 is, I'm all for it and happy for you. For me, though, that's like a card I would think of nothing. It's a zero value to me, and I would move it for any amount of money someone would give me. That's how I feel even about the Celtics players. I don't have that super high interest in them. Even Tatum or Brown, and to use your point of quantity, there's so much of that stuff. Brown is an outlier with autographs, but like Tatum has got no shortage of autographs available. He has a future that is likely 50 years of continuing to sign them. He's going to be no different than an Olajuwon or a Bird or whoever down the line. I'll wait till they're priced accordingly and I'll buy one then, a really nice one. Instead of spending $1,000 today, I'll buy it for $150 in 10 or 15 years.
It's a good thought. And I think, look at what rookies have turned into. It's all speculation. It's all, let me buy this and then maybe they'll have a good game and then I'm going to sell it. So how do you really compete as a collector when that's the mentality of the hobby nowadays? I mean, it has been for decades, but
Sure.
It's even more pronounced nowadays where, I think of an example of like Bol Bol, right? Because that was like even before the boom. And I was thinking, okay, I always collect NTRPAs and I would go after them. And this is back in the days where you could get reasonably priced ones, a couple $100 maybe at the most. But then Bol Bol comes out and it's suddenly like $1,000 card. And I'm like, I'm not going to spend that on a guy, who he could be good. And maybe it's worth a bunch more in a couple months. And we saw like, what was it? The preseason game where he dropped a 3 and then made a dunk on the other end or a steal or something like that. I don't know what it was. And then everybody went nuts for his cards. I'm like, I'm just going to stay away for a couple years. And that's been my philosophy for the past couple years. So I really don't get hyped on rookies. And like I mentioned, that silhouette card, a Hunter Tyson, whatever, with the sticker auto, I'll pick up something like that for $10 just to have it, right? But I'm not going out of my way to track down his RPA and pay whatever crazy price it is at the time. So that's how
you're a responsible gambler though, Ryan, because you hit the jackpot with your Jokic Prism Gold because your other Jokic card.
Yeah.
So you went on a small heater and you walked away from the table and took the ceiling money with you. So.
True. Yeah. I mean, and that's what I was doing back then. So really when I got back into collecting nuggets again was maybe a year or two after, like going after all the hype stuff. I remember the last year I did it was Wiggins, Jabari Parker, right? Andrew Wiggins, Jabari Parker, 2014, whatever. I'm like, yeah, I would literally like go to Target and buy blasters trying to get the Prism Silver, whatever, Andrew Wiggins. And I'm like, I don't know, this is it's not that fun. So then I started just focusing on nuggets and yeah, probably from that point forward, that kind of started my Gary Harris PC. And then I would buy like the rookies every year and got lucky with Jokic for sure. But that's what I was doing. And they were reasonably priced because Emmanuel Mudiay that year is actually like 5 times the price of any Jokic card. So, but I just pick them up because they're rookies and I was excited,
Yeah, absolutely. There's a really like popular, like replayed sort of viral sports radio clip from the Boston area. I think it was on Sports Talk Radio where they're complaining. So Jaylen Brown, when he got drafted, was like booed, and it was the Nighttime Drive radio show was talking about the value of the draft picks. And back then, Wick Gross was always talking about fireworks, and we're going to trade all these picks that Danny has, and we're going to build, a super team. And the guy was on the radio, and he's like, I mean, what are these picks even worth? Nobody wants these number 3 picks. What could you get? Send them to Denver for Jokic or Nurkic? Like, you can't even get a player worth anything for them. And they replay it like every year around the draft of him complaining. And it's like, yeah, I missed the ball on that one. We should have traded that number 3 for that Jokic guy.
Yeah, no kidding.
Adam would have traded Jaylen Brown for Nurkic too, but
I'd trade Jaylen Brown for anything.
Yeah.
It's like very rare though that obviously in Jokic's case where he's 41st or whatever pick that he's going to be this great player. But even like the guys drafted in the top 10, how many times do those guys just fade out eventually? Even number 1 draft picks, you could go back decades and just you probably pick up a lot of them that maybe had decent careers, but a lot of them that fizzled out too. So the whole like prospecting game, I just stayed away from. It was easy to do with the Nuggets up until probably Jokic started playing great, and we got Bol Bol and I think Porter Jr. That's when I started seeing prices go up. So maybe that was more the underlying reason that I stopped chasing rookies more, is just the price. But yeah, just I don't know. I don't play that game anymore. I think it's more of a losing game than anything. Even if you got lucky and you got a great player, look at all the money people have put into Luka Doncic, who's a great player, but is he ever going to win a championship? Is he ever going to do something on the court that brings those values and makes them actually, I don't want to get into value talk, but you know what I mean. Is that going to be a worthwhile investment or whatever people think it is in the future? So I don't know. I don't play the game, but
you make a good point though, because even like the quote unquote the players that make it, and you buy the hype of the rookie year, historically, even those values don't sustain. Like there's always that rookie hype. In basketball, you can't prospect like you can in baseball. There's no Bowman draft or et cetera, et cetera. Even the NHL, you can prospect a little bit more.
Yeah.
Football in the NBA, you're not prospecting. You're buying the top guys, and and even the guy, like I said, even the guys that make the all-star teams and stuff, like you buy something their rookie year, you just assume it was going to be cheaper their second year, but you just hoped it was still available, right? And there was always that game of when do you buy it, and then the landscape now is so different. It will be interesting to see how it plays out over time, but the values are through the roof, and I'm not as bullish on the market as some people are, so I don't see it continuing to grow 10x, but it's just a different landscape. And I think people that are newer to the hobby, which is a lot of people since 2020, don't have that sort of long-term perspective of just paying up for a rookie was more because I want the card during the rookie year and I know I'm going to lose value versus it's an investment portfolio piece.
Yeah, I think the only time it comes into play is if there's that one card, you really love the player, it's a 101 or it's some unique card that you may never see again. Maybe in that circumstance, you go after it and you chase it a little bit hard. But I think, like how many times have we seen the silver prisms of the most hype players just plummet in value after a year or two? We've probably seen it because we've been doing this for a decade or whatever, but it just seems like it just continues every year. It just surprises me. But again, Steve, you're right. A lot of people are coming into the space. They're new. What do they see? Like it's all focused on rookies. I mean, basketball collecting has been focused on rookies since the 90s, since they put the little rookie card label on the cards, right? So
I got a question for you then. Sorry to interrupt you, but before I forget this. So like as I'm definitely more of a player collector. Adam's playing collecting is very diverse, but he definitely focuses more on players and some sets. You're sort of the hardcore team collector out of the three of us. So the Nuggets are looking great this year, and I agree with you. They have depth this year, and I think it's going to be defensive depth, which I think is really going to help them. As the season goes on, if they start to even overachieve your expectations, how does that impact those impulse buys? Like, what are your trends been over the years? And I ask intentionally, knowing that you're also going to have the top Fnatic pressure down your back, so it's going to be a different year. But
I honestly I'm most excited about bringing Bruce Brown back. And I don't really have a good number of his cards. I think I bought one or two when he was playing with us, but I might go back and get excited about him or something like that and pick up some stuff. But yeah, I think with who we signed, we don't really have any hyped rookies right now, so there's really nothing to chase. And if I did, it's like the $10 silhouette cards of Hunter Tyson or something. So, maybe I'll pick up some Porter Jr. that I missed out on if he fades off into obscurity or something like that. I will go back in time and pick up players that were really expensive. Like I was looking, I think it was like a flawless Bowl or something that I was trying to win. I got outbid by a couple bucks, but stuff like that, I'll go back in time and pick up those stuff that I did pass on years back just to have it in the PC, just to have, oh, here, let me flip this page and, oh, I remember that guy. That's kind of what it's about for me, is just like looking through a binder or looking through a stack of cards and just remembering a moment. You might have been at a game and you're excited about the season. You're excited about that. That's kind of how I collect. So probably will go back, to be honest.
Yeah. I remember you being super excited after the championship, obviously. And I think it was Optic Golds you were doing a team set of. And others. And I'm not saying this to challenge you or like to keep receipts or anything, but I'll be interested as the season, because I think you're going to have not only a very talented team to follow, but a team of likable guys, the Bruce Browns, the Tim Hardaway Jr.'s, obviously Murray, how that'll change throughout the year, because you do like to put together your team sets of the teams that you really enjoy. Yeah. I mean, especially some of those, mellow teams and then, the more recent teams. So it'll be interesting to see with, as the season goes on, how your collecting focus will change if your team all of a sudden's at the top of the West and beating down on the Rockets and KD and the guys are fun, and all of a sudden Jokic isn't thinking about being back in his homeland with his horses, but is locked in and all that other stuff. So not to challenge you because you put out there the anti-top stuff, but just interesting to see like what crossroads you'll be at as far as collecting, but sort of a really fun team to follow this year.
I mean, I think there is going to be a crossroads moment where I'm like, because it was that championship season, I was like, I want to put something together cool. Prism's kind of out the door because it just got too pricey. But yeah, Optic Gold, I saw them. I think the most I paid was the Jokic. It was like 150 or something like that. So it wasn't too bad. So you could put together like that gold set that I've done for years. So I've done most of the run of Prism Golds and up until probably the pandemic era when things got pricey, but I'm like going back and kind of putting that together. So I'll probably focus on doing that still, just kind of filling in the gaps of prior years. But I don't know. Yeah, Top Scrum could come out. We do really well. And we make a deep playoff run, or who knows. And then I'll get some FOMO and want to chase it, and I'll have to eat my words, right? So we'll see how it goes.
I'm curious too. I know you often talk about the players you collect, and you have a lot of Jokic, but it seems like you don't buy him actively. I'm assuming it's from a price perspective, reasonably so.
Yeah.
Is there any Jokic that you still purchase? And obviously, again, the price is crazy, but
I've purchased a couple like Prism inserts and stuff. I think there's like a Hoopla parallel. Was that? I can't remember if that was Hoops or Prism. It was probably Hoops because it was called Hoopla. Like I think I purchased a Fireworks Mojo or something last year. So when I see something that looks cool and is reasonably priced, I'm not really chasing the golds anymore because they're, starting at $1,000 or something. I'm like, nah. But yeah, I do collect them a bit. But yeah, it's all due to price mainly. It's hard to justify it. I mean, I've mentioned it before. I bought my Jokic Gold for $40, so it's hard for me to want to pay thousands of dollars for like more recent ones. Not just because of that, but just because I'm kind of used to picking up his stuff. I do have a number of things that I've kept. I actually sold a lot of it over the past couple of years to fund other things in my life that are outside of cards. Some went back into cards for sure. I've kept a lot of the ones that are really sentimental. So like some of the MT rookies, I've still got his logo man, stuff like that. So
that catch that you paid $40 for the gold.
Yeah, it was
Rookie?
$40.
Wow.
Do you know what the black went for when it first sold?
I'm gonna guess
it was
500.
200.
200.
Yeah, that was the first sale of it. I saw it there and I was like, that's too much.
The Jaylen Brown 16-17 Prism Black 101 sold on eBay for $800. It was been our best offer, and it was up long enough for people on Blowout to talk about it, and everybody put a value around $400 on it, and then they were shocked when someone went and hit the bid on it. And I don't know what that card costs now. And Jokic was a second round pick, a couple of years earlier. Ryan, good question here. Yeah, exactly. You highlighted. I'm gonna read it, and then I have a second of feedback, but I'll let you guys chat a second. So IndyCar Cards brings up that they don't know basketball cards all that well, and we're wondering if it's easier to be a team collector in basketball because the team sets are smaller than other sports. And a couple things that I'll say to that is, yeah, easier, right? You've got fewer cards to collect. A little more frustrating though, because you can't get the depth of roster. Like a lot of times you'll have 3 to 5 players from a team, and as someone that wanted to put together a couple of fun team sets from a championship team, I couldn't really get even the bench players that play 20, 25 minutes a game. You might not get cards of them in consistent sets. So, you don't get to put together like a real team set like you would in baseball or hockey. And then it's inconsistent across sets. So you might have a Sam Hauser in one set, but not in another set. So you can't really give it's more of a parallel game. So it's easier, but not as rewarding, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's like you can get every set has Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Al Horford in it, but to get even a few years ago to get Derek White type cards is not there. Whereas baseball, you're at least going to get your starting lineup and your top relievers. So different. It's a different setup.
That's true, because I think when I was first starting to put together sets, you go back to something like that had more players like Hoops or Donruss or something like that. But even those in more recent years just don't have the full team. What was the Panini release that would always have like the full team set? Wasn't there a Panini Complete or something? I'm like getting that
It
right?
was
Do you
only
remember?
1 year. I'm trying to think of some
Yeah.
of the ones that had the larger checklists. But the other thing with oh, what's up, Jason? Yeah, we'll be going to the Big Boston show, or I will. The other thing with basketball, and I know this isn't unique to just basketball, but especially over the last few years, there's been so much turnover in the league. Like a lot of players are really locking in on 1, 2, 3 year deals. So you've got so much turnover that your team sets can have many. And Panini's been behind and everything, so you can have a team set of Celtics players, and you've got a Spurs and Bulls jersey sitting there staring at you in your little
Yeah.
binder. So that's been frustrating.
That's so true though, because I've many times, and this is probably since the pandemic or even before it, trying to put the team sets together, and you have that like oddball one in the uniform they were in 2 years ago or whatever. It is frustrating. So yeah, maybe Tops will pull me over if they actually do more complete team roster sets. Even just for like, I appreciate like just putting a base set together. To be honest, I haven't done it in a number of years. I think the last year was maybe 17, 18, but just like going to a show, like oftentimes I'll pick out the guys that have like nugget stuff and like the 2 rows, and you can flip through and be like, can I put a team set together? You have a team set. Some guys actually put team sets together themselves at shows. It's a little more rare nowadays, but just to have something you flip through and remember that season.
Yeah, for sure.
To touch on what Gary sent in there too, I remember Topps Total pretty well. That was a cool product because you get like long snappers and stuff in football and they have like a full roster. And if they did the same thing with basketball, it'd be quite cool to get the full 12, 13, 14 guys.
Yeah. And you got coaches, I think, right? And did they do mascots at one point in that set?
I think they did.
I don't know if it was total. There was a time of mascot cards as well.
Yeah.
Topps has definitely done it in a few sets in the past.
Yeah, and then Sean was saying the home and away jersey cards. Actually, the Panini sticker sets would do that back in the day. I don't know when I don't know if they still do them or they discontinued at some point, but I do have like 14, 15 through maybe like 16, 17, 17, 18 sticker sets from Panini where it was actually more of the full roster and they had the home and away jerseys in them when they did that. So those are kind of cool. I don't know if that's what you're thinking about, Sean, but do you remember those? Need to bring something like that back for sure.
That'll be the stuff that I think, depending on where all of this goes. Like right now, obviously, it's still in the $70,000 a box eminent stuff and the hype wave. But at some point, I think they're going to realize that there is money in just printing stuff that people like to collect and use as like a photo album. And people want to go get autographs. And I think that culture of being a sports fan is still there, even though it's much different. And I think the NBA is way different too. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw it, the NBA, they're going to start having like betting odds on the side of their feeds and stuff. Adam Silver was talking about. So the NBA is like full in on the betting culture. But yeah, it's all going to change. It'll be interesting to see how it comes out. So if you guys want to have a good laugh, just going back to like Adam and I's friend Jason is in the chat right now, and he brought up going to an annual show. So there's a huge regional show. So Hollywood Collectibles. I think if I said the name of the guy that used to own it, you guys would recognize his name. He was a well-known figure. They have a big regional show in April, and they have a smaller show by a different vendor at the same place in November. And it'll be myself, who's been sitting here complaining about not liking collecting over the last 5 years. Jason, who sold off all his cards and now races RC cars. And then our goofy friend Dan, who I don't even think logs on anymore and I think just plays Magic the Gathering. So 3 guys that are just either out on collecting or complaining about collecting or slept their butts off to a large show and probably not buy anything. But it'll be a good time. Those are friends that I've had in the hobby for several years now. So we get together when we can.
Even for myself, not really being super excited about Topps because I'm not really going to buy it yet. Just going to shows is fun. It really is. I can't last more than, to be honest, like 2 hours at a show. I just get kind of burnt out. But for those 2 hours, it's a good time. I can bring my kids and they have a good time, at least my oldest. But yeah, to your point, Steve, that you're saying is if Topps did realize that there's a collector base out there and they put some products out there that were geared towards collectors that were like lower cost, you could get more of the roster, something like that. That would be the kind of stuff that would pull me back. So I don't want to be like that guy that's just, I'm never going to buy it ever. I'm waiting for that moment when they create something like that to pull me back in. So hopefully they do. We'll see how it plays out.
And Jason, I know this has become a very top-heavy discussion, but it's where we're going. I mean, Jason brings up, tier 1 in baseball. If they do something with and I think I've probably said this already on this, one of our other episodes, if they do some real collective focused stuff, so they do a good quality Topps, what do they call it in baseball, Adam? Their basic Topps Series 1. So if they did like a Topps Series 1 with good size rosters, so you go 7 or 8 deep, fun inserts, and then they chrome that out, get you some autos, do a stadium club, do a tier 1, a museum collection, a dynasty, and have good levels. And they, not everything has to be focused on the lottery ticket stuff, and you can just collect it and enjoy it. I think there's going to be some stuff worth going after, so I'm open about it. I just have not. I mean, their trend in basketball so far has been hot garbage. It has been. These instant cards and these AI generated cards have been absolutely hot garbage. They've allowed, I would say, for the most part, allowed their baseball team to continue to, make some decent stuff. So we'll see what happens over the next few months for sure.
The only thing I'm really worried about is even if they make a product that's made to be cheapest could be available at Target for $20, $30 a box, I think the scalpers ruin that, at least for the foreseeable couple runs of it. You're going to see them all get bought up and being flipped for $50, $60, $80, $100. And that's what makes me worried about Chrome too, is like the last time I bought Chrome was like 07, 08 Durant year, and it was like $60 or $70 a box. Chrome now with a license is going to be probably $1,000 or better. Yeah. So I mean, no matter how Topps envisions the product, there's no way around the resale market being just absolutely ridiculous. So that's the part that stinks. You can't even get into like a blaster or even touch the product without spending crazy amounts of money.
Yeah, and that is the, I'm trying not to be too negative, but even just looking at some of the way they're pricing, I do a lot. I shouldn't say do a lot, but I follow the Marvel side of things a lot, and compared to Upper Deck pricing to Topps pricing with the Chrome stuff, I mean, the pricing on the Marvel and Disney stuff alone is outrageous, and they're not really paying for, photography or anything in those, and they've 2, 3, 4x what Upper Deck was charging for similar quality stuff, if not lower quality. The top stuff is even lower quality in some regards. So pricing's going to take a while to work itself out.
Wasn't the Topps basketball set, didn't it debut at like 120 or something and immediately got bought up and then put on eBay for double? I mean, that's just the reality of it nowadays. So How do you even get that stuff? Maybe if they flood the market with stuff, we'll see things show up on the shelves that we can get for cheap. But it seems to be going the more direct route, because they can control the cost and get you in on it. So I'm interested to see if just every product now is just going to sell out and just get scalped immediately. And that's what's happened with Panini.
I was going to say, that's no different. And Panini was putting stuff up on their website saying MSRP was X dollars, and then they would be selling to distributors for 10 times that. So they were doing their own market manipulation. Yeah. So that's not a Topps only thing.
Yeah, very true.
When they'd even do those reverse Dutch auctions where they'd start a $400 National Treasures box or maybe $500, whatever they used to be, and they'd start it at $5,000 first off the line and sell out at $3,500 and let the market decide the value. So I mean, they've had their hands in the cookie jar, so to speak, the entire time. So you can't really speak on Topps being the first ones. I just think it's that double-edged sword. We all want rare cards and things that are unique, but we also don't want to spit in $1,000 for a 24-pack box or 12-pack box, whatever it is of Topps Chrome. We just need to find a way to get, use your Marvel reference, Thanos in here to snap half of us away and hope we remain. And we could actually have some cool cards at a reasonable price.
And Indy Car Cards says, I think the problem with these low-end big checklist sets is that they can't overprice them because breakers hate sorting cards, which is true. So if you have these giant sets, then you're going to be going through cards forever. I mean, I'd probably be excited about that, but I'm probably one of the few. Everybody's looking for the hit. So do you want to break a box of Flawless where you can get through it in 10 minutes, or do you want to break a case of this 400 card set that it's going to take you 4 hours to get through? So unfortunately, that's probably the reality of it. Is it's all, since it's geared towards breakers, it's going to be geared towards what they will pay for and what people will pay for. So we'll see.
And Panini's already done some of that with the Breakers Delight boxes they came out with. I think it was Prism, where it's basically like getting rid of all the fluff and just getting to the hits in like a singular pack or two of the box, with Fanatics having their hands in every aspect of it, including the breaking and everything. I'm sure we'll see products like that take.
Tops, I actually think started doing that before Panini. Tops has been doing those Breaker Delights style boxes too.
Okay, I haven't really watched too much Topps product being ripped in recent years, but yeah, I'm sure we'll see plenty of sets that we could buy for $1,000 being sold for $2,000 for just all of it in one with double the hits kind of thing being on breaks to eliminate the issue of sorting and any of that. Because I don't even think most breakers, at least the ones that rip big products, even send out base cards when they do these big breaks. They just
they don't
toss that to the side.
Yep. All right, why don't we end on a positive? And like I said, before we do that, we're coming up on the hour. I like one of Gary's comments here, and I'll read it in a second. But I do want to put out a plug for, I think not next week, but maybe 2 weeks from now, we'll do a what's in the mailbox or what's in the box, like, some stories around some recent pickups. And I know we've all got a few cards coming, but I want to give people time to think about that. Hopefully they'll join us if they've had a fun pickup, a frustrating pickup, something funny that happened. Like if they once I got a card mailed to me taped to a piece of laminate floor, right? So if there's some fun stories that happened, recently or in the next few weeks, start thinking about them, and definitely feel free to come on and join us or send them to us in advance, and we'll chat about them. But I will own it. I was definitely got down into the negative side of things today, but Gary pointed out that he's going to the Chantilly show tomorrow and doesn't expect to buy much there, but regardless of that, is really looking forward to being at a show, enjoying being in the hobby. So even if you're not buying the modern stuff or you're collecting goals bring you in different directions, there's still a lot of fun to be had. So I appreciate you pointing that out, Gary.
And I'll say, even though some of the aspects of this episode have been negative, I think it's a net positive too, because we can get back to just collecting for fun. Maybe we don't have to focus so heavy on that stuff, because we're going to be having some opportunities to go out and get some of the past products that maybe we couldn't get when they came out on release. So, it's not all negative, and really the hobby is what you make of it. I think Kyle from Wax Museum constantly preaches that, as make the hobby what you want to make it. So don't get too down on a bunch of old haters like us. But I'm hoping the future is going to be good for Topps releases too. So it's not like I want it to suck or anything, because I want to stay engaged. But I think there's opportunities anywhere. Like you said, Steve, go to a show, have fun. Any last thoughts from you, Adam? Or
no, I mean, I agree with Gary in terms of a show. I love going to shows. I set up at them sometimes. I just walk sometimes. They're a good time, and you obviously see people that make the hobby somewhat less interesting or fun when you just see the constant video cameras and, I don't know, investment portfolio kind of nonsense. But like you said, you can get out of it what you put into it or what you look for. And if you want to have a good time, you can go to a show and meet new people in your area, see cards maybe you haven't seen before, even if they're not seeing some things you would normally buy.
Yeah,
I think it's a really pivotal part of the ecosystem, if you will, of the hobby, the fun aspect of just going out. It costs virtually nothing to go and just having an experience.
Well said.
Yep. I've gone to shows where I spent $5 and had the time of my life. So,
yep.
All
right, Ryan, question for you. So to go back to one of the first comments, do you want to go full Garth and hop on your drum set and play us out here?
Yeah, that doesn't get as much use nowadays as I'd like. But during the winter, I actually do play quite a bit, because it snows a lot in Colorado, so it's my exercise after work.
That's your exercise.
Yeah,
have some between that and alone time, you'd have some great forearms.
Well, thanks everyone for tuning in tonight. Had fun. We'll have the full lineup next week, I believe, and we'll go over some fun mail packets, stuff like that. But yeah, thanks again, everyone, and we'll catch you next time.
All right. Have a good one, everybody. Be well.
You guys.